offerings and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, Nor of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the shore. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When a supreme amongst humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, founder having all understanding. The field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apparition, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the 4 falls and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Page 15, the Heart Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Tripuja. Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass of Vultures mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Sharadvati Putra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unseized, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. No visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared Tadyatha Kate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvati Putra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25, short mandala. Sa shi boke chushe metok tram rira blishi nide genpadi sange shingdu migde owagi drakun nampak shingla jilpa sho jetsun lama dampa kinam ki choku kala kinse jitsengne jitar sampe duche sinmala Shake Jogi Charpa Babdu So Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Over the page. Sange Chodhan Sogi Sonamba Chanchu Pardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chune Kepe Sonamki Drola Pinchiri Sange Trupar Sho Sange Chodhan Sogi Sonamba Chanchu Pardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunin Gepe Sonamki Drola Pinchiri Sange Drupar Sho Sange Chodhan Sogi Sonamba Janchu Pardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunin Gepe Sonamki Drola Pinchiri Sange Drupar Sho.
Gulong di ne suzu di dun duya chigo mayimba suzu dungi saya chigo mayimba suzu dewa duya chigo mayimba rana kati jingi semji tamji la ne pemba bashi duya chidu suzu simdi tembo chisogo to stiye chidu nga zinda di nyingi yo tinda gune gulong wa dinde chi yao tachi shimbe ki simda temba chigo yo resro.
Assuming the correct motivation, that one will listen to the teaching not just for one's own well-being or one's own bliss or to free one's own self from suffering, but for the well-being of limitless sentient beings, for their bliss, to free them from suffering, solely for their benefit, for sentient beings' benefit, one will listen to the teaching. So you can join your mind with the beneficial intention.
어야 다 가고로 들으면 내가 진짜 지금 기초마디 그거야 우리 진짜 가고 그랬어.
Rejoicing that we have the opportunity to listen to this class, to attend this class, rejoicing that.
어야 다 먼저 단다 신의 거들이로 신의 신의 데이터 셈바 셈바 템보 그거 셈바 템보 미바 지간라 심샤 야 그라와요 된죠 그거 공기 미바 카레간래 심샤나 샤엘 라와요 된죠 티야다 지 게베로 티야다 지 류 신장다 심 신장이 대화세지 연구로다 류 심장이 대화 심 신장이 대화세지 진대기 대외 심바베 미바 유 지금 미국 내대비네요 심 잡러듯이 지갈 하나로 지되죠 아니 대화 류레베 갈래카야 메와 루 갈래카야 먼저 반다 범접도 갈래카야 되는 연구여로 같은데 메와 심라이나 근데 메딘 요게네 류심 신장이 대외 심베 띵인진라로 신장 어디 진대기 지라 시네스 진다 코아로 질레나 된대지라 코델레나 디기어 레스로
We are looking at karma abiding or shamatha, which really is to cultivate a stable mind, a mind that can single-pointedly focus on its object at will, can single-pointedly place on its object at will, on said object of virtue, and in doing so, cultivate a pliancy of body, pliancy of mind, the serviceability of body, serviceability of mind, which then induces a bliss of body and mind. So not only are you able to place the mind single-pointedly at will, but there's also a lucid mind, a blissful mind. And at the same time, the body is very light. You don't get tired. So we could then say the definition of karma abiding is a single-pointed state of mind induced by the bliss of mental and physical pliancy.
다 시내에서 직접 사나 아니 직대외기 하는 뉴무 되자 콘도 맞게 타도 다 대외 뉴무 문주가 뭐데 규제 주는 연구야 말이다 좋아 저한테 시내기다 시내 겁나 편히 가려라 위나 뭐스다 대외 뉴무 뭔데 규제 매와 한 주네다 제 내가 타도기 윤대 가리나다 될라디네 게라 아 윤대 공학 게라 배 투수 조고 쉽지 않는다 배도 가서나 쌤디 누가 좀 쉬고 차라라
Now, if we obtain that shamatha, what we can do is the mental afflictions we have in the desire realm that we experience, such as desires, attachment, hatred, and so forth, they can no longer manifest. They no longer appear manifest. And then also longer term, you can accomplish your temporal and ultimate goals, meaning that good qualities of the mind, good qualities of mind are quickly actualized and then the mind is very potent. Yes.
제자다 아니 람 게다 먼저 찬주게 심 람 게 심된다 류된 사시여로 심된 시내유나 아니 람 저거 쉬지 두고 제자다 만나서 뒤에 지 만나서게 지 가르쳐 그래 사람게 또가 줄을 맞이해야 가서는 시내매비 인자 지게 두고 말해 아니 신의 제산 두비알라다 먼저 티콘라다 슝단 툼바 이진디니아 심내 구다 아니 니왕고 두지 제라서 거든 딱 기승어마 건데 도셈으로 징내 티시 니네 네 신의 유나 아니 가서 그랬다 먼저 심기 심디 미고 찍강 네트고 요인자 데네가들라다 심디기다 녀무 초데 도투고요 말아 가서나 딜라로 남시 되지 차고 있는 미디 지마이 스판디슈다 먼저 심신이디 니 유직간 네트는 네베 네가들라 신다간 도투고요 말아 제가 한저 심디 니 게베 미베간라 샤샤디 미게벨로디 게투고요 말아 다든데 잖아 아니 저거 쉬우지 가서 그래야 사람 것도 못지 게야라 펜도시무 쉬우지 지난 시내에다 제 겁나 직계에 돼요 다 공거 개침 보임 봐다 쉬우지 다 개침 붙여 돼서 주시지 제대로 그래서
Also, it is said that with that shamatha, their body and mind is serviceable and that they're endowed, they can easily accomplish a valid path consciousness. For example, bodhicitta, with calm abiding, that can be obtained quickly. The reason that it's difficult for us to get insights on the grounds and paths is because we don't have shamatha. But as it mentions in the text, if we work through these 9 mental settings by overcoming the 5 faults with the 8 countermeasures, if we work at that, then secondly, the actualization of calm abiding allows the mind to focus on its object and is not swayed by the afflictions. Sure, Kumdi, Vasabandhu.
반디추다
Pandit Chodak. So Pandit Chodak, the great Indian master, said that, once the mind is stabilized single-pointedly on its virtuous object, it can't waver. It can't waver. It can't be distracted, meaning that the mind that's focused on virtue can't go to an object of non-virtue. So these are the benefits of calm abiding, that quickly one gets insights on the grounds and paths. And then, there's like the generation of those insights, and that's the purpose of experiencing it.
그래서 네 특디 단습값이 다 지가잖아 라지 투준 검자도 심 다다가나 돼야지 개점을 쉬우차고로 심디 다다가나 되나 심 대화를 두고 말해 마음을 두고 말아 단단한저 망보지 지금 아주 민두세하러 다지 망보지 라야지 대회는 주 지가 강이 텐조 지내주 진대그리도야 심날 텐데 근데 디게다 마지부차 되되게요
Yeah.
그래서 심디 다다가나 샤두나 안 대회는 주 텐도고 말해 마음배 저와침부자데 두고 말아 되면은 아니 그 심디 예수스에서 차고요데 안다데 칙디게다 랍자데 벨랍자 첨보래요 랍자 첨보시라 지나서 칙나 망배추게 칙도서 함저라 찍고사보다가 유마샤시 팀마망보 삼나담비나 아니 아직 돈다 망보지가는 거야 편도에 된 거지 차대버지 고 칠로 고점 유마샤야 돈다 시버점의 유샤고요 삼나망보 베디 당제 네 좀제 다음에도 고여제 네 타마델라 수수 셈디 다지 시와 ne tu ya ro sim gang yi ma de wa sim de da jing pe zhuo ye den yo ane sim de chuo gang da tu ya de ji chu yi na ane ku yu kan de ji gang de na jyo yo ma re wa
Yeah.
sim de ya wo ji pe se go la sha de ane ku yu 배 생장 차오 뇨르 차오든데나 수수 셈디 추강을 샤트비야든데 고육디 셈디야 어제 손다는 고육 내가 좀 차려요 말아 하다는 안저 셈 샤마도데 네 고육라 쉬우지 다나제네 고육 치게 고육 가져 이유는 지난 레던 보라 치 고육의 개심벌에 대해 소디 셈디야 어제 계획은 샤트위나 믹스에 다다가는 샤트위나 내가 오시오죠 단다 자제 날래는데 송구여로
Also, the ability for us to be in the present moment mentally is very important. So not recalling the past or planning for the future, because often we go like, I'm not happy, because we're bringing up something from the past or recalling it, or we have hopes for the future. But if you can stay in the present moment and not recall the past and have no agenda for the futures, then the mind can rest. And such advice above from Pandit Chodak, such slogans are very good for us, not just once, but to recall these slogans again and again, and not just hear the words, but to understand the meaning and reflect on them. And then have a lot of reasons, then you'll start to have tools so that the mind can be at peace, so that the mind can be at ease, and the mind can delight in Dharma, get a taste of Dharma. And then once you're at that level, you can stay anywhere. You know, it doesn't matter about the external environment. It can be busy, it can be troubled, but if your mind is stable, your mind will be at rest and peace. But for us, because we're a beginner, what we need is a quiet place, but it is stated in the benefits of calm abiding, the importance of mental stability, and the place becomes less important.
나저 사자 튕기다 뉴질랜드 당 하고 하면서 최저 거기 스무라 알아.
Yeah.
이거다 삼단신으로.
But think about the conditions in New Zealand and like the Dharma Center. They're pretty good, no? Harmonious.
나 세라라 되고로. 세라라다. 신장 쉬고요로 왔다 미 저와 동당하세 요래. 아니다 배 초초에 망고요 내가 감진 내가 최고래 배졌다고 그래. 정말 최고라 알아. 쉬어지 다 갈래. 저와 쉬어지 신장 쉬어지 알아. 내가 다 자가 되지 주주직라 디 창사점니 셰 주주니 히잡시 셰 단샤로 아 계사 드네 방방 이렇게 얘기하라 이제가 물람제게 왔다가 기시 단사스는 사제 거기 심보 메뉴뉴지 요살라 당아 대고 도스 컨디션에서 중나스 물람 쇼자인 봐 내 물람데 틱데도 와다 다데 거기서 미가시에게 저런 요구면 되라 아니 왜 안한 빼지고 안하면 물람제베도 두러 따라와 거기 심보 아미뉴뉴 지살리나 유도 Raya.
Yeah, New Zealand, where we are, is pretty quiet. In Sera, South India, the monastery is so busy, 5,000 monks. They're always going to puja, zog, reading texts, you know, doing these things, and then doing things in the various kamsans, you know, like these sub-branches of the monastery. Very busy, Sera. And then the Indians with the marriage ceremonies, 24 hours, boom, 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 the music. It's quite busy. It's quite noisy. So I used to kind of like dream of a quiet place where I could just stay alone quietly and do my prayers. And my dreams come true here. People say, aren't you bored? I say, no, I've got my dream. Quiet with not many people.
오늘 따다를 시작해.
It's kind of like exact. Immo.
배디 거기 승부치는 쉬운 녀도 저 멤버로. 아슬레 내 멤버지. 난 비즈 쉬면 따다도다.
Yeah, but it's not that quiet though. We're getting busy. Starting to get busy. It's ramping up.
대단하다. 시내도세 내도지 차대 당도 시내도세. 그래서 신다서 신다 도마래 최저다다래데 교탄배 진질라버스라와 진질라베 사지 차대요. 오늘에 다자 뉴질랜드 나라 자전부로 저래다 사지 자전부래 오늘.
Now, in that context, if you people want to accomplish karma abiding shamatha, you don't have to go somewhere else, as it says in the text, blessed by holy beings. And in New Zealand, this center has had that.
근데 다 시내디 니 반자 반단디라 당보 먼저 되바다 속 기승식 셰레 되바 속속 감성거 남샤디 도두지 신고요 레스와.
Yeah, and then, having cultivated, karma abiding, there are these other abandonments and accomplishments, aren't there? Didn't we talk about the desire form and formless realm last time?
셰락지.
Yeah, but just essentially, didn't we?
제가 되감스 되용하게 아니 뉴모 론제세 네딜라 되감. 수감세디 아니 수다 티로메베체 티다로메베체 렉자요체 텔라 딘데기 네딜라 수감체 아니 수라고 쳔메베 네딜라 수메 감체 디진 숨 게텔라 아니 감숨스치데 여체브레스로.
Right. So 3 realms, we said that the desire realm was so named because the beings there, they have a tendency to desire the objects of the 5 senses. The form realm, whilst having some tactile, form, they don't have taste or smell. And then the formless realm, just more mental with none of the form or the gross sense kind of faculties.
아니 다 데라 아니 그 이지 든지고네다 심 삼대 당분용바 주고 아스데 삼다 데라야 녀도다 무시세지 신의 통랑 녀도스야데 되베뉴물라 녀보데니데 까데 녀보덴지데 카레라이나 요몽운주와 내가 매우서야 되나래와 난서 녀보덴다들 뭐니요래 남베초네 운주와 내가 매우서 단지당 사명고랑 자원의 방단을 뭐지 대전이 반자 방단들 대전이요래서
Now, then, one goes to contemplate these concentrations with these 7 preparations, or 7 contemplations. And what you've got here is like a preparation for a concentration, and then the concentration proper. So those 2 stages, if you will. But this preparation level, preparatory level, is just really an antidote to the manifest level of afflictions. So in Buddha Dharma, we could talk about the abandonment of afflictions in 2 ways. The first way is that you are just abandoning or stopping them from manifesting. But the second way is when you abandon the afflictions and their seeds. So in the second one, they're vanquished, so they don't return. Yeah. So the first one you temporarily abate, and the second one totally vanquish and not return because the seeds are gone.
까디 신내게 톱닝게 또 님보된다는데 문주베다 되자시난 공동하게 내갑게 메서들이로.
Yeah. So when in dependence on karma abiding, then you have a preparation and then an actual. And when you get that actual, then what is not manifesting are these desire afflictions, isn't it? Desire, hatred, and then doubt, pride, all of that. temporarily.
to you the bejan jigdembe lamji panju saja jigdembe lamji panju saja unju nego and that la jigdembe lam si tanye choro
Yeah, and we can, affix this understanding or correlate it with the worldly path of karma abiding, isn't it? Because you haven't gone beyond the world at this stage. You're just suspending the manifest gross afflictions in the world.
and ne nibadi jigdele deve panju so dine jeme phagwe lam thom ne ba phagwe lam thom tuning musum to midab musum to dinsing musum to 근데 또 사네 네고 사변 라미 geb에 최전진 다 제 친제 거는 게면 쓰지 베트 근데 신도 고된 더 다디 방자반나데 직딜랜 데벨랑 게 방자반데 다 계지 돈이 무슨 또야 와 돈이 무슨 또나 담에 무슨 또도 단지사 사면데 제바 단지사도 뉴모 마리고 사도 게야 말아 사도 게면은 아니 단단하죠 레사야게 유도드 카레 마리고라 마리고메나 꾸노데메나 레마사나 콜마 아니 도르찬 지닐렌 데베 남디게 지 타바토야 남지는 바차고 요래 이나야 단단하죠 지딘베 남지 번저반다데 당보 고고래와
Yeah. So, yeah, then there's there's the karma abiding related to the mundane, where you temporarily suspend the gross delusions, but then there's the transmundane. Transmundane karma abiding. This is when you get into actualizing the state of an Arya, a superior. And here you're focusing on emptiness or the lack of intrinsic nature or the Four Noble Truths, the wisdom consciousness path realizing emptiness. And here, what you're doing is vanquishing the seeds of ignorance, grasping at true existence, so they can't come back. These seeds can no longer return. So this is related to the true cessation of the Four Truths, where the person, the being, gets a direct insight into emptiness or the lack of intrinsic nature, understands non-self, wherein clinging incorrectly to self and the seeds are vanquished. And when that happens, afflictions of ignorance, grasping at true existence can't be produced. Karma is no longer produced. So you no longer cycle in samsara. That's the mode of a liberated path. That's the way we do it. However, before we do that, we still need to generate the kind of worldly karma abiding. Do that one first.
그래서 네 당보다 우리만 러시아는 이제 되는데 마직 러시아는로
Yeah.
신이서 당보대도와 신이서를 왜 이제 해야돼 다 되베 컴디 령감디 신의 톱사는다 신의 톱사에 제일 섬당 거 따라와 아니 되바디 교행망보 채통동 내망보 묘그라 차오 아니 소기 캄디라 아니 삼대 당본이와 숨바 시와서래 삼대 당본 내디 아니 체정어 내용어 근데 시와 통으로 봐 삼대 되바디 아니 하장 락바 교행망보 교행망보래도 안 하는 통무도 알아
Yeah.
삼대 당본라 단단한서 되베게지 스트레스, anxiety, depression 라든지 요말다 아니 근데 맨다 다딩아 토고도 삼 아니 수준 진유스를 이제 해야 되고 어딘데 스타고 요래서
Right, now, remember, we're going for the first concentration of the form realm, and this is under the premise that we've already cultivated karma abiding. So what we do is first we look at the negative attributes of the desire realm, observing their faults. For example, in the desire realm, you have a short life, it's full of trouble, it's dirty and so forth. There are many gross delusions. But you examine the first concentration and see that the life is long. There are no such faults of the desire realm. It's not gross, it's very peaceful. So you think, I would like to obtain that first concentration state. So the negative attributes of the desire realm, the peaceful attributes of the first concentration, therein you set about to get these mental contemplations. The first one is, which is called Susurvipa, the mental contemplation of individual knowledge of the character.
그래서 다 된나라 먼저 실업성 퇴중 실업, 삼중 실업, kum중 실업사. 아니 퇴중세야디 배니 슝라 퇴바치야 들어와. 아니 삼중세야 될라 삼노다 퇴중을 되면 삼중. 다 전이 소소를 왜 이제 칼도 아니 저 퇴중당 삼중지권에 아니 또뭐 딱제치기요래서와.
Yeah. So this first mental contemplation of individual knowledge, we're mainly concerned here with hearing and reflecting because we're doing a type of analysis. You know, there's hearing, reflecting, and meditating. So here, you heard the text, you reflect on it. You're not yet at a full-on meditation stage. You're mainly doing this first two, hearing and reflecting.
되네다 퇴중 삼중을 제해서 kum중을 제라 kum중을 교대는 매발에 처음에 매발이지 세야지 용거래서.
Yeah, but then you move on from hearing and reflecting to meditating. And then you get a type of contemplation called contemplation arisen from belief.
kum중로 ngoje서 제서는 원발에 제외 이제서 기운도 다 되게 녀몬들랑도 거구소래 첨보 딩 충무스와
Oh, yeah.
녀몬 첨보 녀몬 딩 녀몬 충무 아니 첨보들라 거숨 첨보 충무 때 첨보 딩 충무죠 아니 딩들라 숨들라 녀몬 거구스 제가 다디 반자반데 대반다 녀몬 되게 녀몬 반 더네 고주고요다 녀몬 첨보 충무한데 첨보 거숨들 내 방요레스 다 첨보 능을 방 중앙을 방모 주제 가르를 배나가서 반자반다데 뇽도 둘로 투당 둘라간 그 투was지 뭐라 그래서 둘로 뚜윤데 타고 라고도 정해를 다루고 다뤄 텔라다 소마도 봐 타고라고도 다루고도 제가 반자디 네 체림네 마방 방고야디 셰고의 김젠데 빼되는데 같은데 거는 셰고요 레스라.
So now from the mental contemplation arisen from belief, one then moves to the mental contemplation through isolation. And at this stage, one begins to abandon the grosser level of the afflictions of the desire realm. You know, like you set out to abandon the big of the big, big of the big, because, you know, there are 9 levels of afflictions to abandon, and you're starting at the grossest of the gross. So therefore, what you're doing is, the analogy is like washing clothes, that first you have to wash out the gross dirt and stains before you can get to the subtle ones. So one is abandoning the afflictions in a sequential manner, and the first level of afflictions are called the great afflictions of the desire realm. So you start with the great of the great.
다데 딩 첨부 고슴디 라도 뭐 이지체 근데 딩 고슴디 가와데베 이지와 이지 가와데베 이지게네 딩 고슴.
Right, so the third level of mental contemplation isolation takes out the first set of 3, which is the great afflictions of the desire realm, and the next mental contemplation, which is called withdrawal or joy, takes out the middling afflictions, great, middling, and small of the desire realm. So 6 now.
다디네 니 쪼바 이지세 되게 땅알 요모 첨부 고슴 딩 고슴 반차로와 대본도 네 다제치네 다 직방네 반제 직방네 반차이 다 거르 반줄 하도 다연도 아니 흉무 고슴디 반줄 하대요 대단도 아니 될래 양자 쪼바 이지디 다제치니 소리체로
Right.
근데 제서 저대 이지시도 아니 양자 아다 중국 고슴 반줄 하대샤스 양자디 중국 고슴로 아니 방야라 배전체데 중윤도 아니 저한테 이제 지지.
Very good.
어디
So then the fifth mental contemplation of analysis asks, what do I have? Is there more to abandon here? Because you've already abandoned the big and the middling level of afflictions that we mentioned, each of which has great, middle, and small. But then you come to see there might be more to abandon. You're doing that analysis. Is there more afflictions left over? Then you see that there are. So then you move to the sixth mental contemplation of final training, wherein you set out to abandon the small level of afflictions, which again has great, middling, and small. You have to put effort into that. You have to train in that.
근데 디네다 이제 툭도성아 이제
야.
툭되게 네 되베뉴모 빵야교 답에 대체 님 되베뉴모 다 차단 빵배 빵버터지 토윤데 아니 저한테 되위지세 다this 저한테 되위지세데 삼대 용무시세 용한도 삼대 공무시무시라고도
Yeah.
삼대 당봉무시 삼대 되베뉴모 빵배 빵바 타갑데 운주버다 운주 빵배 빵바 토바다 삼대 용무시 토바드냐 데 그다 고된 신이 참 말에 고된 제tum바지레
Yeah. So then, with that final abandonment of the last level of the small afflictions, then one has obtained the result. You know, first, up to the stage you've been preparing and applying antinomies, but now it is said that you have obtained the first concentration by definition. And this is like a facsimile of cessation. You know, it's like as if you can compare it to true cessation. It's not, but it's like a facsimile.
어디다 로단디 야고 직심스나나와
Yeah.
티야고 직심스나나 아니 삼대 당보니와 숨바시와 스테냐베 로단 림바디 지부직냐레 고 민규리아레 미시 반자반당 로단디 림바지부직냐레.
Now, once you understand this mode of abandonment that we went through with the afflictions, through these different mental contemplations, that's all you need, because then you're going to go through concentration or dhyana, dhyanas. 1, 2, 3, 4, same mode, same method.
And that dine samde tangbo ngushito. Ta samde tangbo ngushito sido kasheya samde tangbo la gyawalen gobe sori shegi yorwa. Te mare simji yorwa, simgi neze di gyuru go pena. Ngaranzo mirwa tanda. Ngaranzo gomja. Ane shine to. Ane dewe nyomo ngunju bang pa to nganzo simde samde tangbo ngushi ngo gyuru go ta. Waterita.
Ale kashe kare sono to?
gyawalen mare gyawa. 신이 디삼대 당분이었을런데 수감
Some people think that, you know, as a human, if you obtain calm abiding and then go into these concentrated states, that they have to take another body. That's not the case. It means that once you have obtained that concentrated state through calm abiding, that's where your mind is. Yeah, but were you to pass away having obtained that on a causal level, because you've actualized that causal absorption, then you would be born, for example, in that form realm, concentration 1. Yeah.
삼대 당보대라고 삼대 당보대 삼대 니워드네라고 삼대 니워드 시와 니 시라다 용거도 세상 직된 시라 남제지 람스 시와다라고 넘버 제니 람들라 직된 시라 남제 람스 베제나나 책인데 토용 거지라서.
Yeah. So then you've obtained the first concentration state of the form realm, but you look at its attributes and you see that it's gross compared to the second level, so that the second concentration's attributes are more peaceful, and you want to obtain that. And one is doing this type of analysis with wisdom, isn't it? because you're combining calm abiding, but you're also conjoining it with insight. What is the case? That is the case. Mhm.
다 데라 양양자 당게 이지 düng 거 도단데 삼데 당보 내니워도 이지 düng 도단데 지부지 꺄요 디나신도
Yeah.
아니 삼데 당고 녀모 바인데 고 삼데 니웨 무시도 도고라
Yeah, and then exactly the same mode of abandonment afflictions within the constraints of the first level concentration, transferring to the second using these 7 mental contemplations. And at the end of it, when you've trained in the final one, you actualize the second.
다드네 삼데 숨바 시와 투스타 오모메 녀모 바인데 고모고모라야 리도요 레스
Yeah, and it's the same mode of procedure going from second to third. What you're doing is seeing the lower as gross and the upper as more peaceful and traversing in kind.
다드네 삼데 시바디 초와 땅뇽 찬뇽 쉽차고 그래다 가서 그래 가서 라데 삼데 삼데
Yeah,
삼데 베나 삼데 당분이와 숨바도서 텍스에 rak바체 아니 숨메도 그냥 하장 십타네로 베 미고베 두타네로
yeah,
다 뒤중 안저 지 전주게 셈 고미야 닝지 고미야 람 고미야 드주게 셈데데 삼데 시베 무시 지고 먼저 그 찬뇽 보시지요
Leon.
직배 시와 멤버라고 멤버 제제 아니 정다 티디죠 예 남지 맥된라다 삼대 시와 janjan 치고라
Now, on the 4th level of concentration, one has reached kind of like a very potent neutrality. There's not this peace or gracefulness. There's just more of a neutral state of mind. And when we want to generate bodhicitta, great compassion, loving kindness, this is what we want. But it is often in dependence on this 4th concentration that these higher states are cultivated.
다드네 속디 양 속네라 굸 망통 속메디 시와트여라 속디 rak바통 속메디 시와통 아니 대양 속니 뭐야 빠용디 아니 속메탑도 속메데라 나가다에 남지다에 제메 시제 네 시샤로
But then let's say one is on the 4th concentration, but then one starts to think, well, compared to having form, not having form is more peaceful, having form is gross. So one starts to want to accomplish the formless states, which are limitless space, limitless consciousness, nothingness, and peak of CE.
제자다디 베나두스 차고래 다 담보 대외뇨모마 시르드 아니 속이 담대게 담보 무시톱도다
Yeah.
딜레마 셈디 타르타르타르도네 셈디 숨바 시왈레르드베 셈 찬녀 뭐지 양콜라 바로라야지 초와 대와 초와 땅뇽도 리그여와
Yeah.
아니 저기다 셈 데즈락 왕운주거든데 용무여와 아니 대주파 되네 얘나도 정말 되르드 아니 나가나시미지 칸하면 나가나시미지 칸하면 유차고르다
Right. So let's look at it then. We've gone from kind of like the gross attributes of the desire realm and reducing it down, going through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, up to the 4th concentration level where it's become more and more subtle mind. And here one has got a mind of neutrality or equanimity. There is that kind of lack of extreme sensation. Here, what starts to happen is the branches that you would have used in the aforementioned concentrations, and branches are supports. They are condensed and start to dissolve because they're no longer necessary. And then you start to focus on like limitless space.
나가다웨디 파타연데 데베 나가데 바 예제 남시미주 하면 것이라 남시 징고 남시 세리기 찾으면서 매든 거지 아니 뇨용 거로 데라 남시 타예 스와
But even then, focusing your focal object is limitless space, but even that kind of abates because it's gross, and then you're just left with limitless consciousness, which is like, the mind being clear and aware. So present clear wakefulness.
다 남시들에 파 공자 단디 디엔베 예제 니 지엔메 버스로 가야면 요지 레고스로 차로 그래서
But then, even then, that clarity and awareness, after, refining that, then it's a bit like nothingness, almost like a zero thing. Is number 8.
단단다 디 힌두기 룹다망 외지고 디네 타르바토바 디 켈렌치고로
Now, some of the Hindus here and their tenant holders, they think this is liberation. That's possible, nothingness.
로아다 디네가라 지케요 말에 타와 코와요 말 동에요 말에 개개지 요마로
Yeah, because what appears is like there's no cyclic existence, there's no suffering, isn't it? Nothingness. Kayame.
다디 니 공자유인데 니 지엔메버디 베 하장 마드인데 니 셈베 차고 쉬우지 미고 차고 쉬우 지금 시지세 저봐
Right. Then again, taking that to another level of beyond nothingness, peak of cyclic existence, here the mind has become really refined, so subtle.
다 코에게 셈 차슈에디 시지세드레
Yeah, this is said to be the most subtle mind within the constraint of cyclic existence, the samsara.
시지라고 그러잖아 니 시바스도 코어봐 되게 쩨모스 데 딜레 셈 차와요 말다 전
Yeah, so, that's why it says peak of cyclic existence. You're still in cyclic existence, but you've reached the peak.
어다디 니때 곰냠네 곰 말은서 깨와망고라 허비었다 들어와 먼저 장감해 봤다 시지 사고 도요 당은서 말은서 나 지엠에 토요일에 나가대 삼지 당원이와 저는 장매 거랑 먼저 냠네 또버토 덤요 요레스탄데 템버제니 하고 말이지
Now, you guys, we've done all of these. We've done all of them. And we've done all of them so many times in our past lives. We would have gone through limitless space, limitless consciousness, nothingness, peak of cyclic existence, no count. But we've forgotten them.
말은 그뒤는 미냐냐 세제 대요 말다스와
Yeah. We're not always humans, right?
상상은 기차열에 상상 파파차열에
Yeah. Sometimes we manifest dog, sometimes we manifest pig.
아니 상상 하더서 겨울에
And God, we can be a God.
아야 다디 연락에 고드서 되는마 연락 접게다 근데 다도 시험고시 다 샤슈로
Yeah.
지메 이네마다 셔럽지 셔럽라마 도시는 지메레
Still John Leomedo.
셔럽지 라와도 다레다 삼데 당보니와 숙 동감 수감 수미감 다 도드라고 지로
Yeah.
제네 만자다 사워도 손자네 디리 다수 양처럼좀 띵서워 이 돈이 두고도나 단행한조 삼수비 빌려 돈jo도 디 타제간 대로
Really?
대나라 닝게나 빼제고 쉬어 디나 아니 이네마 제보신이 두고도나로 다 개지슈 대한조에 당보 레런 님볼라 아니 시로송아 대화도 뭐뭐 준주 신자세 디게디 야고장지 디냠네지 디슬랄렌터토이나 그래서 다 망보질 레로디 강에도 와로
Yeah.
근데 자원의 신지 레로스로 봐 기록의 레로 단일니의 레로도 레기로 다 최지야라 아니 자원의 신지 그래서 길로 왔다 시라 이지 말이야 자원의 신지 레로도 숙점보래 니레 계셔도 내가 신다던데 계차지 최지야디 계주면 맞지도 디 가르친 통과라서는 아주 예진단데 하고 통과야 말아 근데 편연도 통과야 말아 먼저 최 로존치야 진전이야 아니 공부 진전이야들 편도 가져요미 진전데 카드 진전 찍니인데 편도시다 요 하고 말이라 아 진전데 진전 주도 진전 로직 로니 로숨니 아니 제메 베제직 로인데 따베 미 카치오나시 베 지금 망고 쉬우시 아다 얘만 얘들 하고 오면 다 데리지 디 가래 진짜 용어들 저거 누수 편도 상담나 안 진짜 용어라 이제 가고 용어야다 깔려져디 자고 취해셔서 수술로 가고 용으로 와시 진짜 니들 내라고 요 말이야 직내 계획신다 지금 니 우리 니네 고 알아서 인사 미상마 expectation 데베 가서 그러죠 저어디
Amburawa,
왜
hope,
토보 쉬우셔
yeah, too high.
투주 튼두지나라 야고차고 아니 베디 축스직라 아니 베 조고시 야고차고 해디
Mm.
그 상물로 베 조고 상물 야고 용거에서
Yeah, it's too speedy.
딘데요 말에 최대 계진 정면 숨나 상제 시도
Uh-oh.
아 저거데다 간 진짜로 하더니
Now, with regards to these concentrations, there are different branches in them. Branches meaning the supports of each concentration, whether it be investigation, analysis, joy, bliss, and so forth. We won't really go through those. That's not so important. And we did cover this last term in some sort where we went quite thoroughly through the concentrations and absorptions. I think what's most important for us is in the context of calm abiding, when we first set out to accomplish it, we have to get over our laziness. So it's good to understand the antidotes for that laziness, isn't it? Faith, aspiration, mindfulness, pliancy, these types of things. Because I don't think we'll probably get the laziness where we're downhearted. We probably don't get that one. But we do get laziness where we get distracted a lot by worldly things or, distracted by things that are not Dharma. And sometimes this happens because we don't really see the value of Dharma. We don't understand the Dharma value. And one is not going to get Dharma insight from coming to one or two classes. If you come to like a series of like 16 or 1 or 2 years, then you read the text again and then you start to think, oh, that's what this means, and it can come clearer to you. And such are the benefits of understanding Dharma, and then you will like to come to class. Understanding Dharma is not easy. These days particularly, it's not easy. And you have a lot of online choices. But then the next issue is we have way too much expectation and hope. We want really quick results, and our expectations are too high. But in the context of Buddhahood, it talks about 3 countless great eons. So what is one life? What is one life?
나 빼지다 되라 빼지다 진짜로다 오늘 갈래 쉬어라다 봐 아니 이제 비디도래 비디도도 야고 고마워 근데 내 진짜 야 저번에 철도래 드드 빼졌다 드드시요 상당히 드드시라 배드 비지 차지 봐 철도래 철도래 다자도래 만자도래 섬자도래 아니 더 샤면 클라스가 도래 봐
Yeah.
클라스가 도래 공배 클라스가 도래 사고를 내가 먹고 싶죠
Yeah.
싱가다로 예망도 담바로 싱가다와 도래 아베데 진짜데 지라 펜도 매우로 싫어하다 때다 가를 따때 저 냠래시아로 저 핑금도로 진대게 봐
Yeah.
아니 로직이 질라베네 다른 사람 송주로 나 자오름진 송주로 아니 다 다음 거마다 배자데 저 책도서 그거 말이야 추다 매도다 릴레미시지 동반이스나 갈세고래 고와스나 갈세고래 전주스나 갈세고래 아니 지강하고 말아야 로직 질라야직도 송주지선데 때 그거다
Yeah.
아 얘네다 때 비진다데 쳐라줘야 돼 개좀 비디도야 개좀하셔 비디도 페이지 나네 직 체에는 뭐지 체육 그러면 비디를 봐 하고 또 그런 점도 로레레레레레 송주레레인데 야 거야 돼 축처처처처처 롭제레레 저거 잡거든요 뭐 추억이 지금 제오잡로다 코로다 아니 지금 진단이야도 배가 거리 전부다 팬도시 뭐 쉬어르셔서 여배하다 가야 하는데 근데 그것이 천대는 뭐지 상상은 추주숨 튀래 추주숨 뭐라 진행하면은 뭐지 에세 튀래 네 되게 자동이 아니에요 말에 대행도도 된대 저랑나시 별로 된대요 말에 대행다고 떠보실래요 말에 근데 그 망치다도 추주숨 된대 튀그래 될래 빨래다 여러다 되게 제전 숭조니 근데 빼졌던데 로용디 디레시스로야
Yeah,
기부시우다
yeah.
어딘데스 하고도 저랑서 뭐만 낭주 마장공라 진짜도 지키는 많이 공라 베제틱인데 로디 코아스나 카레 삼사라스나 카레 하고 막
Mm-hmm.
미다고스나 카레 동반이스 카레 잔주스나 하고 말아
Mm-hmm.
근데 자마로인데 데데 하고다 디 칸에 중으래
Yeah.
진짜니야 디 중으로 법조치야 디 중으로 하시다 어디 도서 삼다나 아니 수수스는 이 잉리용으로 고 인카르지로 지그라고 디야 개점물에 바로
Mm-hmm. When I first started to go to the philosophy classes, like as a newbie in the monastery, I just didn't get it. And I thought, what's the point of this? Reading the texts, all the different classes, philosophy classes. And that was a lot. We had to go to class, we had to debate. Then we had SOG, different classes. Then we had like prayers in the monastery, prayers in our kamsan, and all these things. There was a lot going on. And then as we also had commitments because we were new monks, sometimes we had to cook in our kind of branch of the monastery, but then we also had duties in the big monastery. And then sometimes we had to work in the fields, you know, like planting corn. So I used to think, what's the benefit of class? You know, how's that going to benefit practicing Buddha Dharma? But strange, a year later, I went to teachings by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And, you know, previously I kind of knew words like water and flower. But in terms like emptiness, bodhicitta, great compassion, I knew nothing about that. But after a year of going to class, I started to get a bit. And then it started to get more intense. Like you'd go to class and then you'd go home and debate, class, debate, go home. And then as you change classes and go through the texts, the words change. So it was always interesting, and you never got bored in class after that. You start to get a zest, you know, and interest. And there are times when we had classes with Chöden Rinpoche, 3-hour classes, no break for tea, and no cushions like you're sitting on. It was like bare on the floor. And that, you know, his teachings. And then after doing that for a while, and you read the text and you go, oh, this is the case because of this. And this is, you know, so before being Buddhist, you would have thought, what's samsara? What's impermanence? What's emptiness? What's bodhicitta? But after studying and going to the class, due to the effort in the class, you go, oh, I see. And then the mind is kind of gets this encouraged, you know, you're encouraged. So that's the benefit of going to class. That's the benefit of study. Yeah. So anyway, I hope we know now what calm abiding is. Yeah. Yeah. So then you might, you know, people might say, oh, or they think that you can meditate for 2 hours and you get calm abiding. It's not like that. Yeah.
Right.
Because calm abiding proper, you can sit 7, 8 hours, 2 days on your object. And because you need that pliancy of body and mind and tremendous bliss to stay like that. Yeah, some people mistake level 9 for calm abiding, but it's not, because they haven't They haven't studied.
the lobjon xie de catch mu xiu ji limba ani pendo chimbo yimba.
Yeah, so these are some of the benefits of studying and knowing the texts well.
Ani kashi zinda yongya de nyamle membe soro xie do de be noro.
There are some people who think coming to class is not practice, but that would be mistaken.
Nyamle xie de tengaro lawa ya mikro zum de go so. Zinda yongya de ngone nyamle ro ka se na zo xera pe go ra xera pe na ani samutan ya samutan na zo simya ye do ro xera me na ani susu gange se to mare lo ya ye tan to mare zinda yongya de xera ya ye tan go ra dele chok de go kar go ra.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming to class is practice. Practice isn't just having a mala and like rolling your eyes. Coming to class means like practice because you have to analyze. And it is only through analysis and reflection that your wisdom increases.
Oh yeah, tuwa.
Any question now? Oh, only through, okay. The Zinta Yongna, the Shirab Godawas, because Shirab la Karitin
Really?
Gom
예, 당은저 제공으로.
Chegom.
먼저 동에 먼저 갈체니 질레용 거여래. 갈체니 깔래 제공 먼저 디지도 배다. 동에서 해야지 깔래 제공으로 와.
Yeah,
네, 내가 제에는 공자에는 로존 제에는 사물로 지 디지도 배다. 동에서 해야지 되니 디지고요 와. 다 동에다 디지도 동에서 해야 디지도 해야 돼. 아니 시럽이요나 아니 베데 세야 돼 뉴르고 조고 쉬우죠 다와 동에서 해야 조고요래 디지도에 조고요래 시럽면은 아니 요마다 전 베데 건 도보전장 사제 돼 대면도 대기요라 시럽이요나 아니 곧베 조고 쉬우지다 동에서 해야 돼 조고 용거래 디지도에 돼 조고 용거래 직직된 거랑 총 비즈니스로 지에는 디시전도 베 조고 쉬우지도 고요래 시럽이요나
yes. The wisdom, talking about coming to class because we need analytical wisdom. Why do we need to study? Why come to class? Because we want to actualize well-being and we want to clear away suffering. And if you have wisdom, that happens quickly. With wisdom, you quickly remove suffering. With wisdom, you quickly obtain well-being. Without wisdom, you'd always be stuck in doubt, not really knowing is something the case or not. But when you have wisdom, it's very fast to get the well-being and to stop the suffering. Even it's fast for business too, if you have wisdom.
Oh yeah, the online too. I mean, no online. Oh yeah, no they show.
Sure. Ale chuzu chukwa.
that
Kunga yana.
next week 로 먼저 전화서 직나 먼저 취주 주고를 진짜 주텐션을 로 때 치우도 와 정말
Yeah, kisses salakban ba.
살하고
Nanika.
나니가도 먼저 렌초 말봐
Is Wednesday too soon, Moon?
next Monday.
Next Monday you want?
Yeah, next
Okay,
Monday.
next Monday we start at 6.
Yeah. It's okay. Everyone's okay. I think not many people not working. Yes, things close good. For me, no problem. Good for you. Good for me. Good for them. Good for us. Oh yeah.
Sorry. Translation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, page 31, short mandala offering. Sashi,
Yeah.
okay, Chushi, Medokcha. Jira Blishi de Genpadi Sange Shindu Mide Uwagi Jokun Nampa Shinla Jupa Jetsun Lame Kutse Raptenshi Namka Jinle Chugu Gebadang Lo Samtempe Drome Sasungi Drove Mursel TaktuEgyurchi Ida Guru Padma Page 33, Prayers of Dedication. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the creative mood and lead all living beings without exception into that delighted state. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that is not arisen rise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Whatever slight positive potential I may have created, by paying homage, offering, acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharma, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Savior of the Snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is unification of emptiness and compassion, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subjuer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the 3 jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please swiftly return. By relying on the 2 accumulations of myself and others in the 3 times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losang Drakpa blaze for a long time. And on a separate sheet, a prayer for swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, fearless teacher, an assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters. All the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the 3 jewels, and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.